The Sustainable Voice, bringing you big successes from small places worldwide.
Hey Leigh, welcome back. How are you?
I am great, my friend. You and I are back refreshed. Both have just done some big traveling.
That's right. And welcome back to Sustainable Voice. We got a fresh episode for you. Leigh and I had both taken a little bit of time off. Leigh, you were out and about somewhere. I was in Singapore, working and taking some time and then watching my wife shop half of Seoul. We stopped in Seoul, South Korea. So there's a store called Young Living there. And if anybody's going to Seoul and you go to the stores, there's one on every corner. It's like there's more Young Living stores than there are, and they're like 3, 4 floors each. There's more Young Living stores than there are Starbucks in Seoul. So if you guys go to Young Living and the store and the shelves are like just half bare, it's my wife's fault. Sorry. Just had to put that out there. I gotta tell you, Seoul was actually really cool. Singapore, I knew what I was getting into. The food stalls were incredible. So Singapore was incredible. Seoul surprised me.
Yeah,
It
I've
really
heard the
did.
same. Isabel just came back from there and she said the same. She just absolutely fell in love with South
Yeah.
Korea. Yeah.
Yeah, so I've made it a point. I'm a car junkie, as you know. So I'm going back next year because I have to go back to Singapore in June. I'm going to stop in Seoul every year from now on. I've made a promise to my friends there that I'm going to stay longer this time, and my wife's going to stay longer. She's like, next time you go to Singapore, leave me in Seoul for 4 days. I'm like, no, I don't think so. She goes, why? I go, South Korea can afford to have you there for 4 days. So, but the idea is that she'll go rate every Young Living, and she got this is high tech facials they do there and everything, like really high tech. And
Mhm.
I'm gonna spend the day down at the Hyundai testing center, and I'm gonna try to see if I can get a Genesis out on the track.
Wow.
Yeah, it'll be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm looking
I'm
forward to
smitten
that.
with the Genesis. So is one in your future?
No, I don't know about that. I mean, it's because it's. I love the cars. I love it. It's just they're a bit too
Yeah.
big for me. But I
Yeah.
love them. But they're like, well, we'd like to have you take one on the track. I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna say no. I mean,
Do it. Yeah.
they do it. I mean, I don't need to worry about the GV80's crash test crash rating because Tiger Woods took care of that already. And we know it's
He
solid.
walked away.
Yeah, I joke because funny story is that my son, when he was on track at his school, was actually competing against his daughter at a track meet, and he's actually pretty cool. He's just hanging up in the stands, and he was actually pretty cool. No, I really left him alone, which I appreciated. I wanted to go by and say, "Hey, man, thanks for testing out the GV80 for us. I'm glad you did," but of course I wouldn't say that. Of course I wouldn't say that. So
I didn't
anyway, so
realize the connection to that. But anyway, we've gone
yeah,
off the
yeah.
rails already, and
Off
we
the rails already. I mean, clearly, it's so much to talk about. I haven't seen you in a bit. We've pretty
I
much
know.
been off for a bit, summer vacation and whatnot. So
Mhm.
here we are. So we're talking about volcanoes today, and well, I've got some pretty cool stories. But before we do, you and I are both fact nerds. Let's talk about this. There are still how many active volcanoes presently in the world?
Okay, I had to look it up today because I wasn't sure, and there's a really cool site for it. There are 47 active volcanoes, is what I found. What did you find?
No, I found 47. Here's the cool thing is
Yeah.
I zeroed in on Guatemala because there are 31 or 32 volcanoes in Guatemala. Three are active. And
Wow,
of
I
the
did not
three
know
that are
that.
active, two are in Antigua, and I've been to two of them. So of the active volcanoes, I have been to two active volcanoes in Nicaragua. I've been to two active volcanoes in Guatemala. Even cooked pizza over one of them. More on that in a bit. I've actually been to an active volcano. I forget somewhere in Ecuador. I've been when Cotopaxi was active. I was actually at Cotopaxi. I've been down in I don't think where. Uh, there was one other place that I went to where it was active. Well, it wasn't. The one in Isabella wasn't active when I was there. So I've basically been to
Mm.
like 5 or 6 active volcanoes already. So I think my new bucket list is going to be to hit every one of those 47 active volcanoes.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely. Why not? You've got me beat. I've been to one active and one, Mount St. Helens long after she'd blown her top. But that was fantastic to look down in the crater
Well,
and everything.
in that one, so I had a whole class in geology in college, and so they had talked about how it blew its side and what it took for that whole side to blow off.
Yeah.
And in terms of what it did, I went. There's six. I was at Arenal volcano in Costa Rica when it was active. It was erupting every 30 minutes. I was Arenal. In fact, story about that too. We'll talk about that in a second. But there's actually could be 48 because there is one that's rumbling in Alaska right now with possibilities. Let's talk about that one first because this could be, at the time of this recording, and then what happens, we could be the ones breaking this story. So, I mean, the amount of listeners
Who knows? Who knows?
well,
Yeah.
we've been adding so many listeners that, you know what, CNN, eat your heart out. If you're looking for where your listeners went, we got them. Just saying.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about the one in Alaska first.
Bring me up to speed on that one.
So that one, it's starting to show signs on the Richter scale. Here, let me pull this up here because
Is that yeah?
That's the one that I had sent you. That's the one that I had sent you that actually was starting to show signs.
Oh yeah, you did. Hold on, let me find that because
that
was really cool.
You're gonna have to pronounce that volcano for me.
Oh, Iliamna.
I'm going to take your word for that. With all respect to all communities and cultures in Alaska, but this
Iliamna is what I'm going to guess.
Okay,
it's in Alaska. Yeah,
I'm going to say Yamna.
Wow, Cook Inlet. Yeah, that's near Anchorage. So that's
it is near Anchorage.
That would be interesting if that one.
Yeah, and apparently,
starting to see like swarming earthquakes, right? Little earthquake swarms.
Well, yeah, it's starting to hear tremors, starting to show up on the Richter scale. It's Cook Inlet, but what there's basically it's one of two things. So NASA has been taking pictures from the space station of this, and amazingly, so besides the Richter scale, NASA's been actually doing this as well, and then the Alaska Volcano Observatory has been checking it as well. And so it's showing on the Richter scale, but I have to preface that the Richter scale is not always the most accurate. So I don't know if you saw this story, but Metallica, who I love, was playing at Virginia Tech, that was one of the universities that accepted my son, but he chose to go to University of Florida. However, Metallica was playing at Virginia Tech, and their concert set off the Richter scale. So it's not entirely accurate, although if you're Metallica, you kind of look back and go, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, well, the same for Seattle Seahawks,
The 12th man.
The 12th man. They can make the Richter scale show a little activity.
This one, it's really cool because this may be the first case where NASA has actually been involved. I know that they always track movements once the volcano has erupted, but what they're saying is that the they call it rumbling, but with the registering on the Richter scale could either be signs of a pending avalanche or a seismic activity. Now the volcano hasn't been active, or hasn't erupted in 100 years. But it's starting to show signs of. Were you in Washington when Mount St. Helens erupted?
No, I was down in Oregon then. I was on the Oregon coast then, but we the ash just blanketed the entire Northwest.
I believe it.
Yeah.
How many years? Mount St. Helens erupted first time was 1970 something. Well, modern times, first time was 1970 something, right? Yeah. 78, I think, or 77, something like that. You know what? Let's look that up.
I'm looking it up.
Okay.
Well,
perfect.
It was not. Yeah, I mean, 1980 was when
right.
it. So I'm wrong. I wasn't. I'm off. I was still in high school. I wasn't. I had myself all messed up on the timing on that. But yeah.
Where were you in high school? Yet. Where were you in
North Carolina.
You were
North
okay.
Carolina.
You were on the East Coast. Okay, so
yeah.
So 1980, and then it erupted again. The most recent eruption was what year for Mount St. Helens? That one was
in 1980. I swear, I thought it erupted.
There was one. Yeah, there was one after that.
Yeah, the major explosion was May 18th, 1980.
Yeah, There was another one on, let's see, 2008, January 16, 2008. That's what it was.
Oh, I didn't
Right.
realize that
Yeah.
she
Yeah, she
rumbled
erupted
back to
there.
life
So
again.
this will be
Mhm.
interesting to see what happens here because, what I like about this is that, well, it's obviously, you obviously are concerned for the population as this erupts, but that as you
Mhm.
actually go through, it's there. I want to tell you this story. We'll start in Guatemala. So Fuego is one of the three active volcanoes in Guatemala, and that
Mhm.
list of 47 could be 48 is always a rotating list, right? There's some volcanoes that just shut down, the other ones start up, some you'd never expect start up. There are volcanoes that haven't erupted in thousands of years that are still considered dormant. They're not extinct. There's still activity. It's just dormant. So this particular one, I mean, for example, we just found so I don't know if have you been to Japan? I can't remember if you've been to Japan or not.
Nope, haven't been to Japan.
Anybody who's been to Japan, I've been to the southern island of Kyushu. There are a bunch of volcanoes that are down in Kyushu, and they are not lava, but they do steam. Some of them at any random time they do. That's where they create the hot springs and everything else. If anybody wants to really see what the hot springs look like in Japan, you can get them in other places, but down in Kyushu near Nagasaki and going further south from there, that's the real hot springs. But back to Guatemala. So it was funny enough. It was 2018, I want to say. I had taken my wife and my kids to Guatemala, and so there at this point there are two active volcanoes around Antigua, still active to this day, Pacaya and Fuego, and then
Mhm.
there's another one called Acatenango. Now in 2018 we had gone and Pacaya you can go up to the volcano, up to the top of the volcano, and so there's the lava is on one side. It's an angled crater. The lava's on one side, and so we went up and we went off to the side, and you can see the steam at the top. We lifted up some rocks. I gave my kids marshmallows. We made s'mores over the heat,
That's so cool. Who
and I
can say
remember.
that? Not many people can say that.
No, I looked at my kids, and they were obviously much younger. I looked at my kids at that happened. I basically said, and this was over summer. I said, "You're going to start school in August, and when you go back, your teacher's going to ask how summer is. If they call on you, make sure you go last to tell your story." You go, "Why?" I go, "You're going to win. So just make sure
Yeah.
you go
Oh,
last."
100%.
so,
Do they remember
so
it? My kids, they don't remember some things that I think, "What my God, they'll remember this for life." Do they remember doing it?
they do. They remember this experience. They remembered going up and having the marshmallows and actually experiencing it. I remember, because I have an allergy to horses, so I can't ride a horse. My kids and my wife going up on the horse and me hiking behind them. And when I get up, my son goes, "Dad, my legs are so sore." I just looked at him and gave him this look. And I guess he probably could have told I just wasn't amused. That he just looked at
That's
me and he goes,
funny.
"Never mind, never mind." This is the same kid who was talking about CubeSat technology, by the way, on a recent
Yeah.
episode.
He's
So
still a
so
kid.
he yeah, still back then he was there. So it was a great experience. But when we were leaving Guatemala, and sometimes I don't know if it's I believe volcanoes have a premonition, right? So or we humans, sometimes we
Mhm.
have either premonitions or insight or something, right? Some sort of an energy or connection. And this goes back to the turn of the century, right? If you look up the Mayans, the Aztecs, every single ancient culture, at some form or another, had some relationship with volcanoes, whether it was one of
Mhm.
fear, whether it was one of mythology, whatever, there was some relationship with volcanoes at all times. So when we were leaving, you could hear, Fuego was behind us. Fuego was, it erupts, and it still to this day erupts every half hour. It sounds like thunder going off. So you hear the volcano erupt, the thunder comes up, you're like, wow, that's really cool. So we were driving out one day, and I remember in the rearview mirror, and I go, "What is that?" And I looked up, and we could see lava. It's nighttime. You see this lava coming up at the tip of Fuego. Like, that's strange. We haven't seen lava coming out of Fuego. We've just seen steam. And we,
Mhm.
we were going different places, kept hearing it erupt, and we heard whoosh, 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 whoosh. Then you hear the thunder, and then we kept seeing. I'm like, we're seeing this lava come up, and I remember I looked at my wife and I said, "That volcano doesn't look like it's steam anymore. That volcano looks like it's getting ready to actually erupt." And I go, God, I hope everybody here is watching cases of massive eruption. 1 week later, that was that massive eruption in Guatemala where
Yeah.
Fuego basically just erupted. Lava went all through Antigua. A lot of people lost their homes, people lost their lives, all the communities. These are communities that we were installing, stoves and water filters around the volcano. I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure all of them lost their homes. And I remember looking at my wife and I said, 1 week. It was a week after we got back. I said, how do
Yeah.
you how do you coexist with that? We talk about, for example, human wildlife conflicts in Africa. We talk about different types of coexistence, whether it's with animals, whether it's with disease, whether it's with earthquakes, whether it's with different cultural clashes. But volcanoes,
Mm.
coexisting with volcanoes has to be one of the most challenging experiences, because you think about it, right? If you live in an earthquake zone, yes, earthquakes, you'll never know that they're going to happen, but if you're in an earthquake zone, volcanoes, you're in a zone. But if this volcano, all of a sudden you're seeing lava and there's not nobody, and people are hiking up to the side of it, right? They're still hiking it, and you just see in the mirror. And I remember talking to our guide. She looked back. She goes, "Yeah, that it happens. That's there. It's really cool to look at." So we were marveling at it. Um, it was there, and it was just a week later. But I remember just saying, "God, we have to respect Mother Earth.
Yeah.
Her awesomeness. You have to respect it. At some point, and I think we talk about Mount St. Helens blowing her top. That's about right. That's about the
Right.
way best to describe it.
They did have warnings about that, but it is easy. I think it's easy to get complacent,
Hmm. Yeah.
in any situation, it's easy for us to,
Look at
not
the one
see
that
what's
just
right under our
happened.
nose.
Look at the one just happened in Italy, which is the one that was one that just in Italy that just
That
erupted
Mount
a few weeks.
Etna didn't Mount Etna erupt?
People were hiking there. All of a sudden,
Yeah.
it was just, you see these people, and everybody starts leaving, and all of a sudden you can see who's the fastest of the group because they're gone. They're just
Mm-hmm.
gone. It went
Yeah.
from here, come on, I'll take you to, I'll meet you down there. It just basically took off. I mean, that one
Mm-hmm.
wasn't as close as some of the other ones, like White Island, obviously, in New Zealand was pretty devastating. A
Yeah,
lot of
that
people
was
lost
bad.
their lives during that one.
Mm-hmm.
The one in Guatemala we talked about. Cotopaxi, when Cotopaxi erupts, I've actually been around when Cotopaxi erupts, and then one of my colleagues in the office she grew up in Ecuador. I mean, that's the highest active volcano in the world. And so that one erupts. It's clouds everywhere. So you can't see anything. It just starts just coming up. And you're awestruck. But, and I would say this, right? I've been through earthquakes. I've been through hurricanes. I've been through tornadoes. And all of them, when it happens, you are deathly afraid,
Mm-hmm.
right? I will tell you with volcanoes though, and I've been through eruptions. Yes, you're afraid because you know what's there, but some part of you is also curious because you're just awestruck by what's coming out, this lava and magma and everything. So you find yourself just completely awestruck in terms of, just in general. And I think that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
think that's just it's a very it's just it's yeah, it's there. So
Just
go
so
ahead.
small. Yeah, I would no, I mean, I just, it makes us feel small, and just you really, I think, are faced with the power of Mother Earth when you are able to witness that.
Well, let's talk in your time in the Coast Guard or when you were expedition cruising. By the way, plugging again that this woman next to me is the first female expedition captain, or what's the correct? We
Yeah,
were the
yeah, 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 yeah.
first female expedition
In
captain.
North America, there
Well,
may
is
have been.
this well, according to modern day, there's no other part of the world, right? It's just North America and everybody else. Kidding,
Right,
I'm
that's
kidding,
it.
I'm
Right.
kidding,
Oh,
I'm
good.
kidding,
I'm
I'm
kidding.
kidding,
Me too. Me too. 100%
kidding.
kidding.
I mean, the hate mail's that was aimed at more the people that are going to send us hate mail anyway. So I
Yeah.
figure I might as well egg it on. So in all that time, any experiences with volcanoes?
No, no, not so much. No. But I will say, I think about Whittier, Alaska, which is, right on the edge, and they are constantly on alert for tsunamis. Whittier's right actually on the other side of Cook Inlet, really sort of geographically speaking, pretty close to the volcano that we've been talking about. But, there's always, concern about tsunami and all of that.
From
And
what's
I think
causing the
about that a lot.
tsunamis? What's causing those tsunamis? Is it something happening in the
Earthquakes.
Pacific Ocean? Earthquakes
Yeah,
where?
usually. In the Pacific, well, I mean, just wherever, but in the Pacific, if there are earthquakes in the Pacific, they're going to be exposed in that regard. But Whittier, really, I mean, they've had evaluations done, and because they're very exposed. They have very little land that they can high land that they can run to if there's a tsunami. And I can imagine that volcanoes can, you've got volcanoes and then you've got earthquakes, and then from there you can have tsunamis. It's all related.
So I'm going to make my geology teacher really proud. Hopefully she's listening. Hopefully I told her about the podcast. Hopefully she's listening, because she does listen. So I've been stopped at a couple of different cocktail parties, people by listeners. Like, I loved your episode on this, and
wow, that's so cool.
I introduced you to my coffee barista. Remember the one she
you
recorded
did?
your
That
video?
was so cool. Yeah.
So they're listeners now too. Again, part of our rapidly growing base. But I'm going to make my geology professor really proud, because she, there's a lot of cool stuff in that class. I remember the Juan de Fuca plate off of the coast of the Northwest is just etched into my brain, like burned into my memory. And it is it is the coolest cocktail conversation when you can start talking about the Juan de Fuca plate. Throw that hard fact out, and all of a sudden people are like, ooh, tell me more.
Well, you know what we call the Straits of Juan de Fuca, which is the body of water that separates Washington from, Canada and the Vancouver Island and all that. But anyway, we call it the Straits of Juan de Fuca.
Oh, because the water's so rough.
Yeah, you can add that to your cocktail
Juan de
repertoire.
Fuca. Okay, do we have any descendants of Juan de Fuca actually listen to this podcast? If they do, I'm sorry. That was all Leigh, not me. I'm just kidding. Okay, all right. So here's a question for you: which water is worse, the Juan de Fuca passage or the Drake passage? Which one is?
I haven't done the Drake, but I would imagine hands down it would have to be the Drake. I'm sure.
We're gonna have to do an episode on that.
Yeah, we'll have to get somebody who's done the Drake.
Well, Lisa, we'll get Lisa back on to talk about that.
Yeah, we'll get her on. Yeah.
I think we should do an episode on bodies of water that can make you sick. Which body of water makes you the sickest? We'll do. All right, to our producers.
Oh my God, people will never. People in the cruise industry will hate us if we do that.
They already hate me. Don't worry, it's fine. It's all good. No. You know what? No, they don't. Actually, I get along with a lot.
You call it the Drake Shake or the Drake Lake, so you can have one or the other.
All right, and then Juan de Fuca or Juan de Puca.
Juan de Puca, yeah.
Yeah, I don't do boats. And this is even more reason why I don't do boats. I'll stay on land. I'll be okay. Well, let's talk about volcanic experiences. Let's talk about volcanoes in terms of it. So the cool story that I wanted to share with everybody was when I was 14 years old. This was probably my first experience with volcanoes, right? I mean, in Kenya, we heard about Kilimanjaro. I mean, it's millions of years ago. It would have, however many years ago, it would have been active. We heard about that, but we didn't really have access to volcanoes. We had hot geysers. I actually lost my baby tooth at a geyser up in the northern part of Kenya. So we had experience with that. But this was actually in Costa Rica, and I was 14 years old. I had gone to Arenal by myself. I was with some group and went there.
What year was this? What year?
This was 1994.
Okay.
Yeah, 1994. So I had gone in 94, and I remember this, and it was 94, and I had basically gone, and it was it was erupting, or no, it was erupting. The crater was angled, so you had lava coming down one side. So in the daytime, you hear it erupt, and there's hot springs are coming down, and there's not many resorts there, but you're looking around going, that's so cool. And then at nighttime, we drove to this other side, on the other side where the lava was coming down. And we walked up, and I had my camera with me. I was 14 years old. I didn't know any better. And at this point, there were no regulations as to how far. Just walk up until you feel the heat and you stop. So we kept walking up, and saw, and I was taking a picture, and this thing is erupting, and it's blowing its top, and lava's coming out, and you could feel the ash coming down. It's not really, and like you're wearing long sleeves, everything, but it's actually hitting your clothes and leaving marks. So, and you're wearing a hat, you're wearing, goggles or whatever they give you. So I was taking a picture. I didn't know any better. I was 14. I was stupid. So I was basically taking a picture, and I didn't know any better. And piece of ash or something fell into my camera lens and burned right through.
Whoa.
It burned right through the lens. I was 14 years old, and I remember I told my parents about it. I said, I just had this experience. They go, are you crazy? I said, well, it was the coolest thing ever. She goes, well, were you scared? I'm like, well, now that you're talking to me, yes, because I realized what happened, but I didn't know any better. I was stupid. I didn't know any better. I just know something because it was a piece of ash. It was a piece of, I don't know what it was. And apparently, years later, I started looking it up, and apparently it was during the eruption. There were some lava balls, small lava balls that were landing.
Wow.
And we shouldn't have been that close. We obviously shouldn't have been that close. So it was there. So stupid me for doing it, but I'm glad I did. Obviously, because I could tell this story and say, hey, kids, don't get that close to a volcano.
Well, you were so lucky. I mean, think of the odds, how small that lens is, and that of all, and the size of your body, the fact that it landed in the lens and not, that seems like divine intervention or something. You talk about the spirits of ancestors and volcanoes and stuff. That seems like
the ancestors looked down, saying, "We take pity on this brainless wonder. Let's just hit the camera and say, we'll save him. We'll save this mindless nut." And we'll
that's wild
instead.
Oh, so that's funny because you were 14. I was there in 92, I think, 92, 93, something like that, backpacking around with my friend. But we didn't get up that close, but we sat and had drinks and watched it from a distance. But we were older. We were drinking age. We were not.
Well, I mean, any age is drinking age in Costa Rica. It doesn't
God,
really
that's
matter.
true.
I think I mean, I can say it now, but I had my first Well, it wasn't my first beer. I had my first beer at 11 in Kenya, which it's there. I'm not going to say where or with who, because I'll get that person in trouble. But I had my first martini at 14. Yeah, it wasn't like it very much.
They're an acquired taste, if ever.
Yes, I agree. I even met. We were driving, and the guide was showing me local life, and I got into local life. I really started enjoying hanging out with his friends and hanging out with everybody and whatnot. We were talking about this volcano, and again, they were all coexisting with it. They were all coexisting with the volcano. It was part of life, and if the lava ball hits or so whatever hits, and it actually damages the ground, then it damages the ground. It was nobody thought anything of it. Nowadays, it's it could hit the car, it could hit this. Nobody thought anything of it. You had metal roofs, or you had shacks, you had that. It's part of life. They had figured out how to coexist.
Yeah.
Which I think was pretty cool in terms of what they did. Yeah. Now you fast forward to just post COVID, 2021. I had gone back to Guatemala. I could go back regularly and had gone. And this time around, I wanted to get a closer look at Pacaya and Fuego. So this time around, I actually hiked Acatenango. You've done hiking, obviously. And so the first thing they tell you with hiking is acclimate, right? Make sure you acclimate before you hike. Yeah, I didn't do that.
Oh, man.
I landed. The next day, I went and hiked up Acatenango. I think it was up near 11,000 feet, I think, or wherever it was. I went blind in one eye as I was hiking up.
What? Why?
I went blind in one eye.
World?
I was sucking wind. And God bless the guide who was with me. She was holding up my backpack to make sure I didn't fall off. She was holding my backpack. I was sucking wind. But I kept going. At one point, I had a conversation with my wife about a new washer and dryer. And I've told this story to some people before. I don't remember the conversation. And we had just bought a washer and dryer, but I was telling her to go out and buy our washer and dryer. She's like,
Wait,
"You
was
never
she with
calling
you?
me?"
You
No,
called
she
her?
was she was home. She was home.
You called her while you were hiking a volcano
Yeah,
to tell
I
her to buy
was
a washer
resting
and
and
dryer.
called her. I don't remember the conversation.
Dude,
I don't remember
there's
the conversation.
there's a theme emerging here around volcanoes. I think you need to stay away. I mean, like, the gods are very clear on this.
They
You're
feel
getting the
sorry for
signs.
me.
You need to recognize the signs that you need to stay away.
Only because I found out yesterday that Christopher Nolan, who's one of my favorite directors, is writing a book called a directing movie on the Odyssey and Odysseus and everything else. Only because of that, I'm going to use Greek mythology here and say Zeus looked down and said, "Oh, he's at it again. Come on."
Yeah.
I used lightning bolts through his camera lens. That didn't work. Now let's just make
Right.
sure he loses vision in one eye. And then I hallucinated the whole conversation.
Some things you're not supposed to see.
She,
So so you didn't do it. You hallucinated that you.
no, no. I did I had the conversation.
God.
I was hallucinating as I was talking to her. I don't remember the call. I don't remember even dialing her. I don't remember talking to her. And she called me. She goes, "We just got a new washer and dryer, and you're telling me to go out and buy one. You even gave me the model number and what brand to get." I'm like, "What?" Don't remember the conversation. I asked the guy. The guy was, "Yeah, you were on the phone. I don't know who you're talking to. I thought you were calling your doctor." I'm like, "No, I was calling her." She's like, "Did you?" And so I asked my wife, I go, "Did I talk about where I was?" She goes, "Yeah, you were telling me that you were walking in Guatemala."
So what was it, an altitude issue? What do you think it was? If you can logically explain it. Yeah.
It was an altitude issue because when we got up to the volcano, I mean, the guide got me up there, and she was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, she's a listener too. And so we got up there and we got to have breakfast with the volcano. So I'm having the breakfast and avocado on a bagel, and there's Fuego erupting in front of me. I have a picture of my feet. I take a picture of me wearing my hiking shoes always with my feet crossed, and then whatever's happening behind that. So I have a picture of my feet crossed and the volcano behind. It was the coolest thing because I sent it to my children, sent it to my family. I was like, "Check it out. Look at what I'm doing." Like, well, you lead the coolest life. Little do they know that I can only see out of one eye.
Little thing you left out of the.
Yeah, just a little bit. But so when I came back, so I went to the doctor and I got checked out and it was fine. But so when I'm sure I hurt something. I'm sure I took years off my life doing this. But when I came down, I got the vision back, but my nose started bleeding.
Yeah, I have that problem a lot with altitude. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, but okay. So, but still, Ashish, seriously, just because you can doesn't mean you should always.
Of course you should.
Oh, okay.
Well, hang on. No, wait, I shouldn't say that blanketly. No, there's some things you shouldn't do. So yes, just because here's why. Look, I told my doctor, I'll tell you what I told my doctor. The genes in my family are screwed. The both sides, the genes in my family, my wife and I joke about that. Her genes are way better than mine. So in the time that I have, whatever time that is, right? Whether it's 50 years, 40 years, 30 years, whatever it is, I'm going to live.
You're going to live.
I'm going to live.
And I support it. Yeah.
If I break a bone, my theory is, I broke that one before, or I didn't break that one yet. That's something new.
You get a new cocktail party story.
That's right. And I can use the Wanda Fuca story to work with that. It's perfect.
There you go.
Well, let me tell you what I did after that, right? So once I got my vision back, the next day we went at night and we got lost near Pacaya volcano because in a different area. Then we actually hiked to a part, walking through sand. It was pretty level, maybe some up and down. But we hiked around the base of Pacaya, which is the other active volcano, which you can see from Fuego. Now this one has lava coming down one side. And there's a couple of guys that have actually built a grill over the ravine. And so this chef shows up on an ATV and is like, "You want pizza?" Starts cooking all this stuff, putting the toppings, carries this pizza pie up to the lava, basically, and puts it in front of the lava like an offering on this crate. It was great. And actually cooks the lava. Cooks this lava. And then once she cooks this lava, comes back. I have the picture. I'm eating. I'm having a beer, eating this pizza, looking up, and there's the lava coming down the volcano. It was the coolest
So
picture.
wild. So cool. So you've had
I'm
pizza
telling you,
and marshmallows, s'mores, thanks to a volcano.
it's business development for my doctor. It really is. I mean,
Yeah,
it's perfect. I
it's
mean, he's
true.
going to have me as a patient for life.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
probably should have had carrot sticks, but who's counting?
I don't think they're as good. Well, roasted carrots are good, but I don't think they'd have been as good over the lava.
No, but you know what? There's so many cool experiences. Like right now, I desperately want to get to some of these. Like this, if this one in Alaska does erupt, obviously, I feel for the people who have to coexist, but I find it fascinating. You know, when you look at some of the disasters, right? So, for example, let's talk about 3 Mile Island. Let's talk about Chernobyl, right? Obviously, these are devastating accidents, and nobody has come back there and lived for you know. And this is, I'm not saying this is the same thing, but when a volcano, and I remember there was an article that my geologist told me this, actually, my professor. She said the seismic activity of a volcanic eruption, a full-on volcanic eruption, is not that too dissimilar to the seismic activity of an atomic bomb.
I believe that. Yeah, sure.
And I said, yeah, that sounds about right. And you think about that, you know, let's take a look at some of, you know, the only 2 times we've dropped an atomic bomb in the history of the world. And, you know, we take a look at where they are and what those places are in Japan. You have people that live around these volcanoes where the eruption, which according to my professor, when I looked and I checked her information, she was 100% right in terms of the actual the dynamics of an eruption. It's it's equivalent to an atomic bomb. They don't leave. They don't leave. I mean, on Indonesia, there's been volcanic eruptions that have been so powerful they've actually shifted the plate. All the maps in the world have had to have been redrawn because this particular plate shifted. Now, an earthquake was involved as well, but the plate shifted. So you're talking about a change in the world geography. I don't care if it's 1 foot or 1 inch or 1 mile, it's still shifted. I mean, just the awesomeness of how that happens, and the fact that people don't leave. They choose to coexist. Yeah. I think that's just fascinating. I think it's incredible.
Me too. That they live with the risk, and really that there are lots of like you said at the beginning, lots of people who live in similar situations along flood-prone rivers, or you know, in tsunami zones or whatever. But the pull to be there is stronger than the actual.
Well, look at your. I mean, your reaction when we looked at this volcano in Alaska. Your first comment was, "Oh, that's not far from Anchorage." You immediately placed it geographically with the largest metropolis, or one of the largest metropolises in Alaska, and basically you immediately placed it there. But then we didn't shift to, "Oh my gosh, everybody has to get out," or "What happens if?" No, it was, okay, well, it hasn't happened in 100 years, but this is the case. We've learned to adapt. And again, I would equate that to the exact same reason as even when that ash, lava, whatever it was, it went through my camera lens. I didn't turn back. I didn't go back. I stayed where I was because I was so just invested in that experience. I was so awestruck by seeing this and just seeing the lava come out that I just could not believe that this is Mother Nature's work, that this is happening in front of me. It's unfolding in front of me. Same thing with this volcano in Guatemala. The one in Nicaragua was really cool. There's 2 volcanoes there that are active. One that has lava. One's called Masaya, which is near Managua. And that one, they have a grill built up. That's a bit touristy, but you're looking down and the lava is just flowing like a river.
Oh, wow.
And all I could think of was that scene from Ghostbusters, right? Where the lava just flows underneath. And I'm looking down and you could feel this heat. Like, I mean, I put my hand out here. All the hair from here was gone.
Gee whiz. And they let you get that close, huh?
Well, you were at a safe distance, but it was, you know, it pools up, and I had the camera, and they said, "Oh, don't put your camera there because the heat's going to melt the lens and the plastic." And I remember when I took my phone, I took it back. Yeah, nothing happened, but it was hot. But then when I went to go look like this, I put my hand like this, like, this is incredible. And it burned off the hair, this hair. It's like you smelled like, so I put it back. But I did it again
You're
because
not
I
so
was
smart.
awestruck. Nope, apparently not. And I'm telling you, I was awestruck by what I saw. I was, and I have to believe the people who choose not to leave or choose to move back, whatever the case, I have to believe on some level, even if you get used to the eruption, it doesn't get old where you're still looking at that saying, the same Mother Nature that gives hurricanes and tornadoes and destructive forces, this is her blowing her top.
Mm-hmm.
This is, and if the, look, there's all sorts of messages about why volcanoes erupt, about, whether that's related to climate temperature, whether it's related to whatever it is. There's all sorts of information that's there. But I think it just, the fact that I've got that close, the fact that I've had my camera lens burned out, I've had my arm hair burnt off, had pizza cooked over the lava.
Yeah.
I think it's incredible. I went ashboarding down an active volcano as well. There's that too. I went ashboarding down an active volcano.
Wait, what?
So in Nicaragua, you go to the top and give you, they don't do it anymore, ashboarding down an active volcano. So it's like basically,
so you
sit down.
Wow.
It's like a sled. It's a sled going down the side of an active volcano.
That's crazy. They don't do that anymore, you said?
No, I wish they did, but they don't. Pretty sure the insurance company came in and said, stop.
Something
Stop.
You've got, so especially with your name, Ashish, maybe you somehow have a special connection to volcano.
And actually, that brings me to the final point of today's episode, which is this movie that you and I keep talking about. Joe versus the volcano. Should it be Ash versus the volcano?
Maybe it should be.
God, that movie was awful.
Oh my God, I loved it. It was my favorite. It's one of my favorites. So cheesy. But I know. I know
Hanks.
Most people hated it, but it's one of my favorites. Tom Hanks, Meg Ryan.
Okay. What Tom Hanks is awesome, but was it weird that Meg Ryan wasn't with Billy Crystal? It was almost like she was cheating with Tom Hanks.
I know. Was that the only movie she ever did with him? I don't know. With Tom Hanks.
Yeah, because he was always Meg Ryan and Billy Crystal before Meg Ryan got all weird. It was always Meg Ryan and Billy Crystal, which, by the way, you can't recognize Meg Ryan today.
No, I know. She doesn't look the same. But now I'm going to have to go back and find Joe versus the volcano and watch it again.
It has nothing to do with the volcano. I watched it on a plane and I go, I don't understand what this movie is about.
Well, he was eventually, he was going to sacrifice himself. He was going to be the one to jump in the volcano. I can't remember the rest.
And then supposedly the volcano spits him back out.
Spits him back out, right. He jumps in and I forgot that part, right.
Don't worry.
So
I'm not trying this. I'm not trying this. Volcano's not going to spit me back. This volcano's going to go, oh, here comes the idiot again. All right, you know what? That's it. We're done helping him.
I mean,
it
seems like it has told you to get away several times.
I don't listen very well, obviously.
Apparently not. Yeah.
Well, with that, we'll sign off. It was great today. With that, we'll sign off. It was great to be back together again. We're recording again soon. We need to do another episode on volcanoes. We're gonna have to see if we can get some more insight into this.
Yeah, some real science, since you and I really were just sort of talking out our.
No, I just keep tipping the hand of fate, and luckily I haven't played the lottery yet, so I'll try that next. See what happens.
Here you go. Let me know what numbers you play. Maybe I'll give it a whirl as well.
Yeah. Well, in the meantime, thanks everybody for listening. And if it is you versus the volcano, remember, don't jump. Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to The Sustainable Voice. If you have a success story of your own, please reach out and share it with us. We'd love to hear from you. See you next time.